Hi everyone. So once again, just wanted to welcome everyone back to the course. Most of you have been working pretty hard getting through the discussion forums and the questions on the review tests. Those have been coming in pretty steadily. My teaching assistant and I will be grading those. Some of you have already gotten your grades. Just a quick note, I've added sort of examples of correct answers or kind of additional ways to think about why or how we graded the different questions that will appear automatically once the deadlines end. So if you're curious about your grade, occasionally we put some individual comments to you on your answers, but we also have those comments that are standard for everyone. But if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email, and we can hopefully walk you through different things. The biggest advice that I want to give everyone is please make sure to keep up with the discussion boards and don't wait till a day or two before the deadlines to start posting. The way I set up the course ideally was that you would do the quizzes early. That gives you a foundation for understanding the additional readings that are assigned. That you then early on, maybe as soon as they become available, open the review tests. Look at the 5 questions that are on there. Use them to guide your reading. Use them to think about what is it that is in the readings that I can use to answer this question. But also, start posting about those things in the discussion forums right away. I check in at least once or twice a day, morning, evening, sometimes in the middle of the day, depending on how my schedule goes, and I will try to respond to people, especially if it's been a few hours since you've posted and no one else has responded to you. But if you talk through those questions in the discussion forums together with me coming in and guiding you along the ways, the likelihood of you writing A or B+ answers to those questions will increase tremendously. So please take advantage of that. Think about that, the discussion forums as sort of you coming to class, right? In a traditional seminar format, we would sit around together in a small room, we would talk about the readings, we would discuss them, you would ask questions, I would ask you questions, and then you would go back to your dorm or to your apartment, and you would write some short assignment related to that reading. So if you jump into the review tests without using the discussion forum, it's kind of like skipping class, doing the reading by yourself, and then hoping you know what the professor wants without having attended the lecture class or the seminar discussion class. So that's what the forum is for, okay? It's pretty straightforward. Post minimally 2 times. I actually hope you post a little more than that, something a little more in-depth, and it's helpful if you post early in the process to give other people a chance to respond, to give me a chance to respond, rather than the night before everything becomes due. We're starting to transition now. A few more modules have become available. I know most of you have gotten through the major thinkers. You should all be done with that by today, by later today anyhow. And we're starting to transition to more contemporary writers. Some of you have already started doing that. Writers from the last decade or so, or maybe a few from the 1950s, who are describing the society and American democracy then. By now, hopefully, you've all begun to realize that what political sociology is, in many ways, is this sort of triangle, right? This sort of place where politics, economics, and society interact together, right? That is, how society is structured, the ways we behave at home, at school, lots of other things are shaped by the politics in which we are. Our day-to-day experience in a democracy like the United States is going to be fundamentally different than your day-to-day experience in a place like North Korea or Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or any of the places where we don't consider to be democracies or even just fully democracies. At the same time, your day-to-day experience is going to be shaped by economic forces. And so that affects you on a national level, right? Wealthy countries like Sweden, Singapore, the United States, Germany, have a different kind of social environment than countries that are very poor. Haiti, the Congo, Yemen, etc. But of course, economics also affects you within societies. It makes a difference whether you are a minimum wage worker in the United States versus the son of a billionaire. And so your reality, the amount of influence you'll have, the amount of access you will have to different things will depend on your economic position. And we know that that then translates to political power. Virtually every member of Congress is a millionaire, even though millionaires make up well under 1% of the US population. So somehow money and politics seems to correspond with things. And also with social status, right? Think about your Kim Kardashian, right? She's famous for being famous, but because she's famous, she is now also a millionaire. And so she has high status socially, politically, right? She was able to get somebody pardoned by the president, and economically, she's got money and she can do whatever she wants with it. And all of those things are what we think about in terms of political sociology. So whereas American politics or people in political science will focus simply on how people get elected or the political structures, political sociologists are going to look at, well, how do the day-to-day economics affect this, right? What does it mean to be working class versus middle class, and how does that affect the different kinds of politics and policies that get made, right? Why does government tend to listen more to people with money or status, right, than it does to people who are middle class or certainly people who are working class? Right? How does that work? How does that work in the media? How does that work in our daily lives? How does that work on a university campus? Right? Are there preferential treatments and opportunities for people with higher incomes than for people who don't? Right? How does that work? So pay attention to that as you're doing the readings, right? And again, we're going to keep coming back to the idea of community. How do you build a community, right? Especially when you have high levels of political or social or, of course, economic inequality. What does it mean to say that we are all, a community, that we are all Oxford, that we are all Ole Miss, that we are all Mississippi, or that we are all Americans, when some of us don't have enough food to eat, when others of us have more than enough food that we can waste? How do we maintain a community under those kinds of circumstances? And that's what I think we want to come back to, is if we want to build a democratic community, what does that look like in the day-to-day experience? And that's where we're going to be shifting in the next few weeks as we start thinking about the changes in American democracy and the way things have moved over the last several decades, and what things might look like in the future with social media, with globalization, etc. Okay? As always, send me any questions you might have. Keep up with the assignments. Please don't wait until the last minute. If you have issues with the software, let me know. But if you're on campus especially, go see the IT help desk. They can always help you, and they're available 24/7 in a way that I simply cannot be. Okay? All right, I look forward to hearing from you and reading more of your responses online. Thank you.